Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. So we're starting our introduction to Agile, class one. Right. So, I had explained you in the previous video what all things we'll be getting into, what are the chapters, like what are the synopsis, what I explained you, like what all things we'll be learning in the real time. So I would start with the basic questions like Agile, what is Agile? Why Agile? What are the rules and regulations of Agile? And what is business agility? See, when we talk about Agile, I want to make it very clear. This is a real-time scenario like where we'll be learning. It's not from any Google or any kind of uh, uh, pre uh, pre-made notes. So this is all real-time exposure, like where I have learned the way I have learned it, the way I have practiced it. So I'll be explaining end to end. Okay, let's start with asking why Agile or what is Agile? See, many people say, Agile is a philosophy, Agile is a framework, Agile is a process. But in real time, what is Agile? Why we need to use Agile? Even though people have used many other methodologies in software development lifecycle, why people choose Agile? What is that a waterfall cannot do, Agile can give? Because if you see example, I have worked in Waterfall, then I transformed into Agile. It was quite challenging, not easy. But coming to the point, why Agile? People can comment actually why Agile. It's fine, but still I'll be explaining it. Let's start with what is Agile. Some people Agile is a mindset, but it's the rule book. But in the simplest form, Agile is a process for developing any software application in shorter duration using different frameworks or process like Scrum, Kanban, XP, Safe, both comes under a single umbrella, right? So in a layman's language, it is nothing but a process for developing a software in a shorter duration of time. Okay? So we'll be going more deeper what is shorter duration, like we do think all projects or assignments can be done in shorter duration. Discussions will arise. Wait. I will answer those in upcoming sessions actually. Okay? As I told you, there are a couple of rules and regulations where we need to keep it as a Bible or keep it as a rules for Agile. We're keeping this as a pillars. We have to proceed with the implementation. Once we know this, once we know the theoretical aspects of this, then we enter into the world of Agile. So when we talk about Agile, how Agile is incorporated into business agility. And first of all, what is business agility? Right? So coming back, what are the rules and regulations in Agile? So we have something called as two things, which is Agile Manifesto and Agile Principles. So can anyone say what is exactly an Agile Manifesto? Take your time. Okay. So coming to that, right? So it's a value, on what value you're building these frameworks or these practices. Okay. So this value is being supported with Agile principles. Okay, it's vice versa. So let's get into Agile manifestation first. Totally, we have 4 Agile manifestations. Why 4? It is like, people can ask me, you can 10 also actually, I've seen this. So this 4 were the pillars to build the 12 principles, I can say, right? You can say core values, the only one word I can use. So normally how this came was like, there were 17 developers actually who thought, we need to have a easy platform to implement or alternate platform to implement the process. So in 2001 they came together and discussed, they collaborated, and they came up with this. That's a simple thing, right? So this is something. Normally interviews a lot ask what is manifestation. So if someone asks me an interview about other manifestation, it's better be far from those organizations actually. So they should ask you how do you implement those other manifestations. Okay, so let's get into more deeper. What is individual and international process and teams? See, when you take up a traditional approach, which is waterfall, which is spiral, couple of things are there. Let's take an example of waterfall. What we should do as a team, as a project manager or a developer or a business analyst or a product manager, right? We should more be focused on processes and tools. Depends on tools. For example, I can say is like, when we wanted to take up a kind of a requirement gathering, what we use a Word, Jira, or Confluence. More focus on tools approach. But we use something called as customer interaction. What is a customer interaction? What is it? Normally, many people with business analysis background, right? How do you take requirement gathering? It is simple. Go to the organization, jot down the as process, and you frame the to be process by understanding that this was as this was customer needs. Then what happens, right? We should never ask a couple of questions to the customer. Like, what is the current state? How do you want to build the current state? Right? And secondly, then we don't have, normally what happens in waterfall, right? We used to only communicate with them by the end of the project or end of the future development. So this was creating a lot of confusion actually. So then what people thought was, let's use this. Let's interact more with the customer. Let's understand who the individual stakeholder is actually. Okay. An example I would like to take care of an e-commerce application. Okay, might be anything. I want to name them. It can be anything. So take this as an example. Take a white sheet of paper. Basic things what you need in a e-commerce application and what difference you can get from those developments. It might be anything. So here you have to make a list like what would your interaction techniques should be. Like how would the particular stakeholder. Normally what happens, right? There was a time that like when we used to go to a subject matter expert, sit with them for a couple of days, understand, and take the documentation, get the approval done. But in Agile, it doesn't happen like that. Changes are happening frequently. We have to be market ready. We need to understand what is the go-to-market strategy. Apart from that, like what is the next level of technology and what does the expectation would be changing, right? So individual and international processes and tools. We will interact more with the customer or subject matters, understand. Working software, comprehensive documentation. There was a time like where until the requirement gathering is done, you should never move to the next phase. First the initiation, then on started to do the requirement gathering, the requirement approved, then you used to go to design is done, then development. Okay, so this was the process. Now in Agile, what we do is we first concentrate on what are the best features you need. So we go cycle by cycle. Okay, so we most concentrate on what the nearest or the best feature to go to market. Right? So if you take an e-commerce, first most important thing is the login page. After the login page, the e-cart. After the e-cart payments. These are all the basic things, right? So start building like that, feature by feature. So that means the end of the day, the goal should be a working application. And customer collaboration or contract negotiation. So normally people get confused between the individual international process and tools and customer collaboration or contract negotiation. Can someone say a small example? What is this? What does it mean actually, the third one? Because third one is something very important, like where we're supposed to use for day-to-day life. As Agile project manager, we should be very much cautious on this topic, on this, on this manifestation and manifesto. It can be anything. Any one good example which will help us to understand more. So it's nothing but collaborating with the customer, focusing on working together to achieve the business goal. Simple. Okay, that means we collaborate with the customer and ensure that when the product is delivered, it creates a real value and it meets the needs of what the customer is justified. Okay, so that means you are encouraging the customer to be more flexible. That is customer collaboration. You can come and say, hey buddy, I need this. Can you do this? Right? And responding to change over a following a plan, rigid plan. What is a rigid plan? Normally, what you do whenever a project comes in, right? You stick to a plan. Okay, the customer needs this, so we'll only work on this. So any changes come, it will be phase 2. So this was creating a lot of failures actually, in fact, in real-time scenarios, right? Once we build it and something new used to come to the market, and we used to never, the customer is never were not able to, get the business what we wanted. So here, what actually uses is like it emphasizes to get the feedback from the customer, okay, and welcome change in an iterative way. What is iterative way? In sprint 1, I have given a demo, and customer comes and says, okay, it was a good demo, but I would like to have like this. So as a team, as a project manager, what you should do is you should get into a kind of discussion with the internal and external team. If I take up the change, what are the blockers I have? What are the feasibilities I need to do? Okay, and if I'm accepting it, what will be the impact? So I normally in Waterfall, if you see, right, again, if some change comes in UI, again you have to go document it, to get an approval, again from the second phase, and then it goes on. But here it's not like that. We work on the iterative basis. So always keep in mind, it is not that mandatory that you guys have to accept the change, but accepting the change in a systematic manner is a good approach in Agile. Okay, it is not that when you go for live, then you need to change. No. The reason we say we have frequent demos after each sprint, we show to the customer, make the customer understand, then take a sign off. Right? So these are the 4 manifesto. Any questions on this? I would be more happy to answer you. But this is what actually you have many available resources actually. In Google, or I see a couple of people taking it in a very lethargic way actually, let's say. Just a manifesto, just keep it very good to build the working agreement. Apart from that, you don't utilize it in real time. So this is what you got to utilize, understand the value of that, then utilize it actually. Yeah. Coming back. So this 12 principles I have made it in a layman's language, like more humanized way. I don't want to create that kind of a rigid kind of a 12 principles of Agile and make you people uncomfortable, right? So I have just made it so simple that we should be able to use into our day-to-day activities, right? Okay. So first one I can say it's a customer satisfaction to early and continuous delivery. Okay. Here, in the layman's, what we do is delight the customer early and often. That means you prioritize the delivery and you're going to provide them the value and the business agility what is needed. Okay. And you're going to meet the customer needs. That is what called as in Agile, we have something called buffer time. Okay. So here what we do, if the amount of work is taking 2 weeks, we give them 2.5 weeks. But we're going to deliver in 2 weeks. That's our plan. Right? So 0.5 is the buffer time. So if I get any problem or any team member might be sick or tell me some changes. So that is what actually it says. So in the reality, as per the draft of an Agile theory, you can say it's a customer satisfaction through early and continuous delivery. This is delight the customer early and often. So you need to have a frequent delivery and as soon as possible. Second is welcome change requirements. But in theoretically, we welcome the change even in the late game, which I have told you. And it tells the customer to win and you to win. You have to welcome the change, and you have to check the scenarios, you have to do the feasibility test, and you have to understand like what will be the delay. If there is no delay, how soon you can deliver it. Okay? What is making me to adopt this? So it becomes a leverage between you and the customer and the market trends. That is very much important, right? So we have to go as per the trend. They say follow the trend, right? So same way. And second is should work in software frequently. As I said, again, here also the confusion, actually people will confuse principle 1 and principle 3. There's a difference. You're going to release a real-time working applications in couple of months, provided with the continuous iterations. That's all. Nothing fancy model. The most fourth one would be build around motivated people, trust them. That means you collaborate with business stakeholders and your development teams for better alignment and understanding. So always we should be a bridge between the development team and the customer or stakeholder. So where the collaboration happens. So the way they talk freely and understand the product, the process, or development scenarios. Okay? And then always have a face-to-face communications actually. Normally today we are living in a digital world actually, okay, this is something very challenging. I feel people less motivated when they don't collaborate daily. Or they only speak when there is a demo or there is a kind of a requirement gathering session. So I'm talking about the foster collaboration. You should collaborate nicely with the team so that the relation between the stakeholder development team goes smoothly. They open up themselves. Okay? So in real time, it's differently we follow it. Actually, the way we approach, what are the collaborate, what are the cadence we follow, everything will be explained actually. So just bear with me on this. Second thing is maintain a sustainable pace. What is a sustainable pace? Can anyone tell me what is a sustainable pace? That means whatever happens actually in the project, right, we have to keep updating. There's no something gold plating. Gold plating is nothing but whatever customer asks and whatever you're giving, you are giving more than what is expected. That is bad actually, in fact. That might prioritize that. That is called as gold plating in the software world. Okay? And keep it simple. It's not that you actually you should not always focus on the never focus on the incompleted task actually. When you're taking up 2 week sprint, focus on the 2 week sprint or a 2-3 week sprint. Make sure you give a quality output and focus on the essential tasks. For example, you're building a kind of again e-commerce. So what is the MVP in it? Take it off. What is the most important feature to go to the market? To understand the customer, what are things that the customer will accept the market? Build those. Right? That's what Agile says. And then it should be, and thing is, let the best ideas win, no matter who suggests them. It is like having a regular, it's like having a, self-organizing team. We're going to give the team the full rights to think, to collaborate. So only you can get best of them, like best architects, best designers, something like that. What happened? Okay. Yeah. Then, always you should have a pause regularly to reflect and improve. What does it mean? That means you need to regularly reflect and adjust those scenarios. For example, I can say there's a process improvement happening. So you cannot expect the process improvement to happen in one sprint. You need to adjust to the team. The team has to adjust to you and understand. And you need to tell them that this is what the process is, what the working agreement will be, this is what the user solution will be written, and this is what you can accept the ticket. There's something called a DOD and DOR, where we will be DOD and DOR definition of done and definition of ready. So we'll be getting in more deeper into that. Right? Then we come for a conclusion actually. When this is done, we have how to put Agile into practice. See, normally when we say Agile, what people think is just open in Jira, create a story, go to the daily stand-up. That's it, done. There's nothing. So there's something called as pre-checks in Agile. Before getting into Agile, what are the things you need to know and what are the things you need to document and how we're going to train the team to be Agile. The best practice in real time is the team has to be small. Because I've seen Agile teams being 20-25 people. And I've seen even being 10-20 people also. That's a challenge actually. It's depending upon the organization culture and their kind of agreement between the customers and the client. But it should be small and it should be a functional squads. That means there should be a tester, there should be a designer if needed, there should be a BA if needed, and a good amount of developers. So today people just have to wait, but in real time we need at least 9 to 10 people to have a successful team. Planning organizations. I've seen people, they start Scrum, they get into a Kanban style of approach, which is bad. right? So we have 2 weeks of sprint, we have 3 weeks of sprints also, and 4 weeks. So 4 weeks the entire will consist of both the sprints, right? So the shorter duration you should not have more than 4 weeks, right? That is the thing. And automate everything. When we talk about automate, it is not only on technology side, it is on your day-to-day life also. For example, if in Agile, right, what is automation in Agile? So when we say automation in Agile, straight away it goes to, sorry, straight away what we say, we talk about Jira. We automate Jira. That's good. That's ultimately good. Okay. My question would be, what do you think about automation in Agile? Yeah. So what do you mean by automation in Agile? Automate everything. Will someone comment, tell me what is that? It is making your team more flexible with the process, reduce their manual efforts, enabling them to respond quickly for the changes whenever it comes. Okay? So these all are leadership skills. How you going to automate? Right? So that is more important. So when we talk about automation, it's not just on your Jira side, it's how soon you're creating the team to be more effective for the changes. What are the working agreement skills you follow? All those things, right? Yeah. Let me get into deeper actually. Okay. Then all daily stand-ups for course corrections actually. See, normally what I see, daily stand-ups are becoming status update. What I'm working today, what I'm working tomorrow, and what will be the next. That is not the way it has to be done in real time, guys. Trust me. Normally, daily stand-up comes, you are telling your teammates, boss, hey team, I'm working on this. So I'm blocked here. Can someone help me out? So, or someone can give me a feedback what should be done. And after this, I'll be picking up this task so that I'll be able to achieve this business value. I'm working on this particular ticket and this functionality, so I'm stuck here. Okay, so this is a kind of cross collaboration. It is not a status reporting, right? And we have to make sure demo working software at each sprint. That I don't want to more kill more time on this. Okay, and retrospective. Each of when I end up every sprint, we run retrospective. But what we do the retrospective, right? See, normally I've seen people talking only about the kind of course of action, what was supposed to happen, but what did not happen. How we're going to fix it? We're going to fix it there itself. Okay? It's not that you're taking to the next action. No, fix it there. How are we going to fix it? How are we going to what is retrospective is nothing but you're going to analyze what happened previously while you were working and what changes you were expecting. Right? See, they're saying like Rome was not built in a day. Same way, a team cannot be built in a day, but retrospective. And coming on to tracking our metrics. When I talk about tracking your metrics, most important thing is how you're going to track your metrics. I only see people talking about burn down, burn out. That's fine. I appreciate that and support that. But apart from that, if you really want to collaborate with your team in a better way, we have some other things also like velocity, right? We have cycle time, we have lead time, we have different escape rate. So these are the kind of reports where you need to track on a day-to-day basis, right? So yes, this is about how you're going to put an action, and then it is a pitfall to avoid. What is a pitfall to avoid? Treating innovation as a risk rather than opportunity. Normally, when something comes up, right, we take it as a threat. Oh my God, we're not able to complete this sprint. It will be a kind of a spillover. Spillover should be there, my dear friends. When there is spillover, there only you have a kind of that your training is going well. When people say there is zero spillovers, something is wrong with the team. Always, analyze this. So you cannot have a perfect zero innovation team or zero factors. I've seen this. When you just go deep on and see, right, they are only building what is supposed to build. They're not giving any value added for the customer. Blaming people instead of fixing the system. Something goes wrong, we have that right. When QA happens wrong, they blame developers. When developers happen wrong, they blame the QAs or try to go for the requirement. This has to be fixed. How it has to be fixed? You have to fix a process, right? So we get into that, deep dive into that. what should be the practices. Value region and stability and or adaptability. So again, it's same actually. So we should not be stubborn actually in couple of taking some commitments, but adopt the changes when it comes. Expecting perfect requirement before writing a code. Normally, I've seen this. Developers do not. Because I understand that's what Agile team is, right. So we have a feature actually the user story for it. So there should be a cross collaboration between the team. This is what the user story format. This is what the Figma designs are, and so on. So sometimes even though Figma designs are not required, developers are very stubborn that I need this, then only I'll try having the code. Or you're on unexpected API. When the customer or forward to give it. Right? But the developer what with the API because we've gone through the entire system, right? So we need to avoid those. Running things by command and control other than trust. So normally Agile sometimes right situation demands that we have to get into micromanagement. So micromanagement is good for certain extent, but bad for certain extent. So only the pitfall for Agile is doing micromanagement. You should work as a team. Nowhere actually in Agile that give it be an individual contribution. No. It is a team contribution. So only we call them as squads. Right? Choose the business value without linking day-to-day. See now day-to-day, see now what is day-to-day? Now what is the business value? In 2 or 4 weeks of sprint, you need to build this page. And it has to be workable and it will be cheaper to the customer. Right? But what we do is we put daily activities there. In stand-up call, I want so and so things only to be spoken. And this only should be built. Apart from this, you cannot build any other thing. Right? We have to stick on to customer. Sometimes what happens in the real world, right, when you're building something, right, you open up for new ideas. Like where, as a project manager, you should support the team and take it to the customer stakeholder and say, look, this is what we found out. Can we do this? This is the real meaning of this. Okay? So business value as in a broader understanding, it's like it says that I can give an example. What is the business value for good ERP system? Right? Enterprise was planning. A good business value for the ERP system is it has to be customizable, it has to be user friendly, and customer reach should be shown. So that when I say customer reach should be shown, it's not that it has to read the market. So no, whenever customer uses it, right, it has to be user friendly. Okay, that's the business value. And secondly, for you, the business value is generating revenue, generating more work, keeping the team more intact, the requirements or operations or functionalities. But for organization, it will be different. So, as a project manager, you have to be good in both aspects, right? So, that's all. We're getting into the other practices. Let me know if you guys have any queries or something. I think we might get into an next video also. So this videos will continue from now on, as I've told you in my previous introduction, right? So we'll be going on. Now we'll be going into more deep into Agile. Some days there will be theoretical aspects. You have to bear with me for theoretical aspects. Please go do your R&D once you see the video and reach me on when you need to reach me. I'm going to leave my number here. Right? Yeah. Thank you, guys.